Let's go. Second week of January.
I thought he was going to say second Monday.
I'm going to say it. I'm going to get out of that. Today we're doing a CES preview, $14 billion Honda plant, and millennials becoming their parents. It always happens. It always happens.
I feel so defeated about that line.
You've known this for a while, though, because I think there's probably a contingent of millennials that trails your acceptance curve into adulthood.
Yeah, without a doubt. Yeah.
I mean, look, when you have kids, when you have like career, they have career, but
like
when you have
got
kids,
married out of college,
family,
career pretty quickly, family next,
growing up,
yeah.
right? It just comes faster, and it happens every time to every generation. They all start out saying. So after you see a couple cycles, it's like, oh yeah, it's coming.
Yeah, here it comes again.
The nice part about it is that we have all of the statements recorded and documented on social media of like, oh, they're so dumb because of this, this, and
they did this. I
said all those things as a Gen
I would
Xer.
Nevers,
I said all those things. They just don't exist anymore because there was social media, but it's over now. Gen Z is toast.
I know they are toast. They're never going to be able to say a thing.
Toast. Hey, there's so much good thing, so many good things going on in this season of the industry. First quarter, right? NADA is coming up. We're heading out to the Washington area public policy show in just under 2 weeks here. We're gonna actually spend some time with some members of the government and some OEMs, and there's going to be some product releases. We're really excited to bring that coverage to you live from Washington, D.C. And obviously, NADA is coming up. The energy is just, now it's the full ramp up, right? Less than 30 days.
Ready to go.
We're just going. Good morning to everybody on the live stream. Tony Lucas, good morning. I know we have Instagram rocking as well.
The people that we're going to be hanging out at one of the workshops on Friday. Have we? I don't even know where it is.
Well, it's called the NADA Twilight Exchange, as they call it.
Yep. Yeah.
No, I don't think we have. I mean, we've really been, I think this is the week we start talking about all the things that are going to be happening in NADA. But tell the people about the Twilight Exchange.
We're doing a Twilight Exchange. It's dealers only. I think it's like 20 or 30 dealers in a room working on real things that are happening right now. Yours trulies are going to be hanging out, moderating that thing. And
customer experience we're talking about.
We're talking about customer experience. And the most fun part of it, because it's the Twilight Exchange and it's not like the daytime workshops, is there's an open bar during
the room.
It's dicey.
In the room, and it's a cool format. So NADA reached out. Usually dealers moderate this, but they asked to see if we would moderate it. Basically, people get to submit topics that they want to talk about, and you and I are going to, in real time, go through these questions. So hopefully we can get them answered, right? Because dealers want to hear from one another. So our job is to extract all possible knowledge from the dealers in the room to share with one another. We're excited about that. We also found out it's not like full-time, isn't locked and loaded, but you have done it, community. More Than Cars, the show that highlights dealers and the great stories coming out of dealerships from across the country, is actually going to be featured at the NADA live stage. So stay tuned, because we're going to let you know what the time slot is and the day and the time slot. And we hope that our community can show up to that live stage in force. It's just a super cool stage that NADA has always done. They broadcast it out. It's something that a lot of people who can't go to the show watch and participate in. It's right by registration. So there'll be more information about that soon. So there you go. No grass growing under our feet in 2024.
There you go. We're getting after it.
All right, let's speaking of getting after it.
All right.
Segue.
This has to be a good segue week.
Comes in.
So as the Consumer Electronics Show, or CES, readies to open their doors tomorrow in Las Vegas, there are several things the auto industry are keeping their eyes on. First, there's a glaring difference between auto industry participation this year and what it has been last year. Of the big three have opted out. A lot of the other OEMs now, last year was all about electrification and charging and all the hype. A lot of people backed out. Hyundai, however, is leaning in, specifically talking about their Vertiport and their eVTOL vehicle. So they're kind of like going way over the horizon, which is cool. Honda is going to be showing their latest concept in their collab with Sony called Afila, and Vinfast, who we've been talking about all week last week because of their launching into their dealer network. They're going to be revealing two vehicles, which may be coming to the U.S. One is a $20,000. I did say that. $20,000 VF3 Microcar, as well as a pickup truck that they've alluded to as a concept. They're saying is going to make it to production. Also at the show, auto suppliers are in full force, right? A lot of consumer adoption of tech into the industry. So ramping up there, a lot of focus on like AI integration with cameras and sensors for safety. And by the way, I had to put this in. If you're going to CES, you can actually pick up your badge at the airport.
That is just like, that is unbelievable.
I'd be all over that.
Well, look, 100,000 people invade. Like they don't need lines at the convention center. You know what I mean? Like why don't you just hand everybody one?
What's the NADA show count? 30, 40,000?
Yeah, like 25, 30,000.
Gosh, this is like 2-3 times the size.
It's a massive. Yeah. New Year's resolution is next year we're going.
Yes. That's a great, we should just plan it. Every year we're sad at this time. But look, I mean, look at Vinfast coming out swinging, right? Announcing the dealer network. And obviously they made the CES decision prior to that.
Exactly. But like bam, 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 like they're coming into it hot. And look, when you bring a pickup into the US, like that'll get everybody excited, and a $20,000 car. Now it's a little tiny thing. I don't know if you've seen the VF3, but they're expanding their
it's way cooler looking than the Swatch car though.
It is, honest. It's without a doubt. Yeah, I'm paying attention to VinFast because they're bringing new models. They're leveraging the dealer network. It's gonna, I think,
and they're building the hype. They're playing the brand train right now. Obviously, a lot of questions about quality and range and all those things, but I think we're gonna get to find out like the chicken or the egg conversation, right? What do you need to do first? Is it get a car that's okay enough to get to market, to build the right distribution and the right brand, and then give you time to work on the product, or release a great product first and maybe not make it to market? So it's, well, we're going to find out. We're going to find out. A lot of conversation about EVs for both positive and negative, but without a doubt, they're definitely moving forward. Speaking of EVs moving forward.
Segue.
I thought I read this number wrong at first.
It's a lot.
I feel like it's the most I've heard. Starting off with a relatively measured approach in the EV race, Honda is coming to life as they're considering a massive $14 billion investment. Hit it. $14 billion investment in an EV and battery plant in Canada. I read it twice.
In Canada, of all places.
Is that 14 billion Canadian? I'm just kidding.
Yeah, Ontario, so it's like 1 billion US.
Is it really though? Yeah. No, he did. Alliston, this is going to be near its Alliston, Ontario factory, where they're already making cars, aiming to bolster their North American presence. The proposed plant, expected to start production in 2028, would be Honda's second EV facility in North America. Now, Canada, this isn't the first EV plant. They've been offering a lot of incentives, tax breaks, renewable resource proximity, and all of this. Recently, Volkswagen and its battery company PowerCo are working on building a gigafactory in very close to it, actually, and by 2027. So, Honda is converting its U.S. plants to produce batteries for its e-architecture platform. But without a doubt, $14 billion like investment. They've been kind of sleeping on EVs, not really.
Well, I don't know if they've been they just haven't been very vocal.
They've been measured, like working in the background, like we're not ready to talk yet.
It seems like there's a few manufacturers that are kind of following the same kind of thing. I don't know if you've seen their residual values and their impact and their and the type of customer loyalty that they have. I'm just throwing it out there, but it seems like they're doing that. But $14 billion investing in Canada, which is really interesting. Not coming to the US, but it is North America.
So credits apply, right?
Credits apply, exactly. You get to save the money on the Canadian exchange rate. So why not do it?
It's 14 billion. Has any other plant been anywhere near that?
No, I think what is the
like
Ford
6 billion, 7 billion?
The Ford plant in Kentucky is like what, 5 or 6 billion, something like that.
14 billion. I had to check that 3 times. I'm like, is it really 4 billion? 14 billion. I don't know. Maybe we're wrong.
5.8 billion is their Blue Oval City. So
I mean, I guess if you think of
everything's cheaper in Kentucky because it's just north of Kentucky is just north of Tennessee and south of Ohio, and that's
everything's cheaper in Kentucky. There you go. Speaking of things being cheaper, the further out you go.
Oh yes. That segue makes me so happy because according to new data, which, you know, if you're in the world of being a millennial, it's maybe not new. Once the driving force behind urban revitalization, the millennials are being priced out of cities and relocating to the burbs, reshaping both urban and suburban landscapes in a search for affordable living. So they're moving to suburbs due to high costs in urban areas, despite preference for city amenities like coffee shops and yoga studios and wine bars and cat tea lounges or whatever. A firm in New York City called Suburban Jungle Group said that residents who move to the suburbs report surges in calls. They've got a surge in calls from millennials, and they are getting alarmed by soaring rents, where rent renewals are up like 30%. My favorite part about the article is that it leads with a journalist or a writer from Nashville saying like, yo, we just figured we just start driving until we figured out we could afford it. And I'll tell you what, in Nashville alone, I'm glad that they started with the Nashville story. You see all these people moving out of the city, and they're not like going to the next closest suburb. No, it's like 30 to 40 miles outside of the city.
Hashtag Spring Hill, right?
Yeah. They're going to Spring Hill South. They're going to Lebanon East. They're going to Dixon West. Like it is way out of the city. As typical, it seems like cities are getting younger faster, where Gen Z is replacing millennials in those cities due to rising house costs. Though the study cited that 1/3 of Gen Zers are still at home with parents. So
yeah. So yeah, the cities are getting younger, but a lot of Gen Zers still are not kind of like launching. One shopper put it in the article, drive until you qualify. Just keep going. Keep it. Nope. Can't afford that one. Can't afford that one. Yep. I think there's obviously this big COVID thing that happened, right? It pushed people out of cities. They went far. Remote work happened. Now people are starting to call back to office, right? So now we've covered articles in the past about people doing like a super commute, like twice a week, right? It might be like 2.5 hours, but they only have to do it 2 times a week, so it balances out. The reality is that as the families are growing and as all the things that happen when you start having children and progressing in your career, you start to want a little bit more space. The 2-bedroom apartment doesn't quite work anymore for sanity reasons.
You kidding me? There's no 2-bedroom apartments in downtown Nashville. They don't exist anymore. They just like made them all 1-bedrooms. It's wild.
Exactly. Well, that's case in point. But how this all ties to the ground for what we pay attention to in the auto industry every day.
Here you go.
More people in the suburbs. More people have to drive places. More people need cars. And a lot of these might be first-time car buyers or people who have ditched the car to live in the city, and now they're coming back. So for all the dealers that are in either, I mean, it doesn't matter where you are. You could be a city dealer and market to these folks. Hey, are you heading out? Let's make sure you're set up. Or when you land in a new place, new home registrations, making close with realtors and all the things for these millennials.
I mean, even 2.5 years ago when I left the stores, I remember that summer, like that was really the first summer that everybody was really spreading their wings out of the COVID era. And I remember like 30 to 35-year-olds in that time coming in saying, I've never owned a car. I lived in California. I lived in New York. I lived in Chicago. And now I need a car because I decided to move to Nashville, to the suburbs where it was more affordable, and I need a car. It's like first ownership in their 30s. It's wild.
Yeah. It is wild. It is wild. But without a doubt, it presents an opportunity. So that's why we pay attention to this stuff.
There you go.
Right. So that you can be paying attention to this stuff. The more we pay attention to stuff in culture and in people's lives, strangely, the more we can serve them. So we hope you're set up to have an amazing week to serve some people. We have a lot more coming this week. Stay tuned and take care of one another. We'll see you tomorrow.